The ancient Valari elder stood beside the towering crystal window of the great council hall, her 6 limbs trembling as they rested on the translucent surface. Beneath her, the ruins of once glorious cities stretched for miles, their radiant, spires now hollow and lifeless. The plague had appeared 3 cycles ago without warning. It devoured all life it touched, reducing flesh to dust and bones to vapor. For 50 millennia, the Valari had flourished through harmony and intellect. They had never waged war, never forged weapons, never caused pain. But now, their long-standing compassion offered no defense against this unseen catastrophe. "Elder, we have lost the southern continent," came a hushed voice. Cathmar, her youngest aide. His once bright blue skin had dulled to a sickly gray, and each word was a struggle. "The final city fell at dawn. No one answered our transmissions." Zixathara closed her large golden eyes. When they opened again, silver tears trickled down her cheeks. "How many remain?" she asked. "Perhaps 10,000, he whispered. "Maybe less. 10,000 from a thriving population of 8 billion. Only that many remained. The plague advanced faster each sunrise, and even their most brilliant minds stood helpless. They had exhausted all possibilities, but the Valari's science had never prepared for annihilation. Their technology had been born from creation, not destruction. "The quantum transmitter is ready, Elder," said another voice. It was Hexara, chief of communications. She still appeared strong, but fear danced in her violet eyes. "We can send the message across the stars." Zixathara turned from the shattered view outside. Once this council chamber held 500 Valari. Now only a dozen remained, and half could no longer speak. Above them, the once illuminated dome that charted the heavens now showed nothing but void. "Let me see the message," she said quietly. Hexara activated a panel, and glowing, words appeared in the air. It was brief, composed in the standard galactic tongue used for trade and diplomacy. "We are the Valari of Nethys in the Kepler 442 system. A plague is destroying our world and our kind. We have used every tool, every science, but we cannot stop it. If anyone can hear us, we beg for aid. We do not wish to perish. We do not wish for our civilization to end. Please, help us." The message hovered like a final prayer. Zixathara read it again and gave a slow, solemn nod. "Send it," she commanded. "Transmit to every world, every vessel, every possible ear." "Elder." Cathmar's voice was barely audible. "What if no one comes? What if they fear catching the plague?" Zixathara turned to her frail advisor. "Then we will meet the end with honor, as we have lived. But perhaps, somewhere, someone brave enough will answer." Hexara activated the transmitter. Beneath, the dying capital, the ancient quantum array hummed, drawing on the last of their remaining energy. The signal pulsed into space, traveling faster than light, reaching out to faraway systems and unseen empires. Far across the galaxy, in a sector few dared to explore, the signal found its way to a human ship. Captain Jake Morrison sipped his 3rd cup of coffee when the alert chimed. He sat aboard the UES Defiance, a mid-range exploration cruiser long past its prime. She was old, but Morrison trusted her more than any sleek new model. "What have we got, Park?" he asked. His communications officer, Lieutenant Lisa Park, looked puzzled. "Sir, we're picking up a distress signal. It's not human, and not from any registered colony." Morrison set his mug aside. "Feed it through the translator." The computer processed for a moment. Then an alien voice, softened by translation, filled the ship's bridge. "We have exhausted every method we possess, yet the plague remains unstoppable. If anyone can hear this transmission, we implore you, help us. We do not wish to die. We do not wish for our legacy to vanish. Please, help. The bridge of the Defiance went utterly silent. Captain Morrison glanced around at his crew. Amy Carter, his science officer, stared at her console, eyes wide. Ben Rodriguez, chief engineer, had paused mid-repair, frozen with tools in hand. Even the ever-busy hum of the bridge seemed to pause in reverence. "Sir," Park spoke softly, "the signal originates from the Kepler system." She hesitated. "That's 3 days out. Maximum jump speed." Morrison rose from his seat. A large, weathered man with gray hair and battle scars from the Centauri Wars. He'd seen death, devastation, entire planets leveled. Yet something about this message struck him deep. Perhaps it was the sincerity. Or perhaps the vulnerability. The rare plea of a civilization not demanding, but begging. "What do we know about Kepler?" he asked. Carter quickly checked the archives. Almost nothing. No human expeditions logged, but long-range probe data suggests a habitable planet. Advanced civilization, according to signals received. But those reports are 50 years old. Any warnings logged? Hazards? Conflicts? None, sir. Just distance. It's far beyond charted space. If we go alone. Morrison stepped toward the view screen, eyes on the scattered starlight. Earth Command had tasked him with surveying trade routes, identifying habitable systems, not chasing distress signals. But Morrison hadn't signed up for the safety of the known. He'd joined to explore, to protect, to make a difference. And somewhere out there, beings were dying. "Rodriguez," he called. "Jump drive status?" "Ready, Captain. We've got enough fuel for 6 jumps, maybe 7 if we push it." Morrison nodded. "Park, message Earth Command. Tell them, we received an alien distress call and we're en route to investigate. Inform them we'll check in once we can." "Sir," Carter's voice was careful, "we don't know anything about these aliens. We can't even confirm the message is real. There could be danger, a trap, anything." He turned to her. "Amy, if you were the one sending out a final cry for help, wouldn't you want someone to answer?" She paused, then nodded slowly. "Yes. Yes, sir." "Then that's exactly what we'll do." Morrison returned to his chair, voice steady. "All hands. Prep for jump. Destination. Kepler 442. As the Defiance charged its jump, Drive, none aboard truly understood what lay ahead. They only knew that somewhere in the dark, someone had called, and humanity did not ignore those in need. The ship dropped out of hyperspace with a bone-deep jolt. Captain Morrison gripped his chair as the swirl of stars stilled. But what appeared? On the main screen made his breath catch. Kepler 442 was not alone. Orbiting the stricken world of Nethys were 30 black ships, sleek, angular, and deadly. They hung in space like predators, their crimson-tinged weapons glowing faintly. Morrison had never seen vessels of this design, but he recognized a threat when he saw one. "Amy," he asked, "what are we looking at?" Lieutenant Carter's. Hands flew across her console. "Unknown configuration, sir, but the energy readings, they're military. High-grade weaponry, and, sir, they're scanning the planet, constantly." Morrison studied the screen. These ships weren't positioned to assist. They circled like scavengers, watching, not aiding. "Park, any acknowledgement? From them?" Lisa Park shook her head. "Nothing yet, sir, but I'm intercepting internal transmissions between the ships. Translator is decoding now." Rodriguez looked up suddenly. "Captain, I'm reading active energy bursts from those vessels. They're firing something at the planet." Morrison's jaw tightened. "Are you saying they're attacking?" "Not exactly, sir, but it's targeted. And the energy. Profile matches the plague emissions we detected in the original message." Carter paled. "Captain, I think I understand. Those ships, they're not just here because of the plague. They're the cause of it. She looked up, horrified. This isn't a natural catastrophe. It's an extermination. Silence fell over the bridge. Only the steady hum of systems remained. Morrison stared at the alien fleet, dread sinking into his chest. He had seen evil before, but never like this. Great. This is the third part, and it's 642 words long. Here's your rewrite with exactly the same word count and matching tone, emotion, and atmosphere as the original. The rewritten version sharpens the clarity while keeping the storytelling and pacing intact. Rewrite, 642 words, but this was different. This was no natural tragedy. These aliens were deliberately killing a dying race, watching them perish. Sir, Park said sharply, we're being hailed. On screen. The view screen shifted, revealing an alien face, gray-skinned, small, black eyes, and a mouth lined with jagged teeth. Its voice, filtered through the translator, was crisp and chilling. Unknown vessel, you are in Corfac territory. Identify and declare your purpose. Morrison stood, his voice calm. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Defiance. We received a distress call from this system. We've come to help. The alien narrowed its eyes. Help is unnecessary. The planet is contaminated by plague. Our presence ensures it does not escape. You will depart immediately. And if we don't? Morrison asked. The alien smiled, sharp teeth bared. Then you will share their fate. I am Admiral Thevar of the Corfac Empire. We have 30 ships. You have one. Leave now, or be annihilated. Morrison looked to his crew. Carter worked furiously at her station, scanning the disease. Rodriguez checked the ship's weapon systems. Park recorded the entire exchange. None showed fear, only determination. Admiral Thevar, Morrison said evenly, we humans have a saying, we don't abandon people in need. We're staying. We're going to help those people, whether you approve or not. The alien admiral gave a cruel laugh. Humans. I've heard of your species. Naive, reckless, fragile. You believe you can oppose the Corfac Empire? You will. Learn how wrong you are. The transmission cut. Morrison sat back down, voice steady as he activated the ship-wide comm. All hands. This is the captain. We've identified the source of the plague. It's not a disease, it's an attack. Those 30 ships out there, they're exterminating the people below. I know we're outgunned, and I know this wasn't our mission, but I won't sit here and watch a genocide unfold. He paused. Anyone who wants to leave can take the shuttle. Head for human space. No one will be judged. He waited. No one spoke. No one moved. Then Ben Rodriguez stood, voice firm. Captain, with all due respect, where the hell would we even go? They're slaughtering innocent people. But it was obvious the creature wasn't malevolent. Its blue skin, large golden eyes, and expression of desperate hope told a different story. This is Elder Zixra of the Valari. Are you here to help us? The alien's voice trembled. Morrison smiled warmly. Yes, ma'am, we're here to help. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We're humans, and we received your message. Tears welled in the alien's eyes, streaming down her face. Thank you. Thank you so much. But you must be cautious. The Corfac ships are killing us slowly. They want our planet, but they want us dead first. How many of your people are left? Morrison asked, his voice steady. Perhaps 8,000. We're hiding in deep shelters, but the plague reaches us everywhere. Time is running out. Morrison nodded firmly. Hold on. We're coming for you. The transmission ended abruptly, just as alarms blared throughout the Defiance. Rodriguez glanced up from his console, his expression grim. Captain, the Corfac ships are moving. They're forming an attack formation. Morrison activated the combat systems. The Defiance wasn't built for war, but she had her defenses. All. Hands, battle stations, Morrison commanded. Amy, how much time for that cure? At least 2 hours, sir, Dr. Amy Carter replied without looking up. Then we hold them off for 2 hours, Morrison declared, eyes narrowing as he studied the fleet surrounding them. Park, open a channel to the Corfac Admiral. The alien admiral's gray, cruel face appeared on the screen, its mocking smile unchanged. Have you decided to flee, human? Actually, Admiral, I've got a message for you and your empire, Morrison said coldly. We don't care how many ships you have or how powerful you think you are. You're killing innocent people, and that makes you our enemy. What's going to happen? Stop attacking that planet or we'll stop you. The Admiral laughed, its grin widening. 1 ship against 30? You're delusional. Morrison smiled back. Admiral, there's something you should know about humans. We're all a little insane, and we're very good at fighting. The first Corfac ship opened fire, energy beams tearing through space toward the Defiance. The ship rocked as Morrison gripped his chair. Return fire, he ordered. The battle for Nethys had begun. The Defiance shook as enemy fire pounded her shields. Sparks erupted from damaged consoles around the bridge as Morrison held steady. Shields at 60%, Rodriguez reported. I can divert more power. To weapons if needed. Do it, Morrison replied. Amy, how much more time? Dr. Carter's hands moved frantically over her equipment. 90 minutes, sir. Maybe less if I can crack their plague's design. Morrison clenched his jaw. 1 ship, 30 enemies, 90 minutes. Most would call it impossible. For Morrison, it was just another Tuesday. Lisa, patch me through to the fleet, he ordered. Sir, we don't have a fleet, Lisa said, puzzled. We do now, Morrison said grimly. Open a channel to all Corfac ships. Admiral Thievers, annoyed face appeared on screen, his bridge bustling with gray-skinned aliens readying for combat. What do you want, human? Surrender. Give you one last chance, Morrison said, his voice sharp with finality. Pull back your ships, stop the plague, and we can all go home. Keep fighting, and you'll understand why humans are so good at war. The alien admiral laughed derisively. You have 1 ship. We have 30. What can you possibly do? Morrison's grin widened. You're about to find out. Dan, are you ready? Security Chief Dan Hayes stepped forward, a towering figure with arms like steel beams and scars that told the story of countless battles. Ready, Captain. Good. Take your team and prepare for boarding action. Admiral Thavar stopped laughing, his face twisting in disbelief. Boarding action? You can't be serious. Dead serious, Admiral. You made 1 mistake. You think this is about numbers. 30 ships against 1? No, this is about purpose. You fight to destroy, we fight to save, and humans fight hardest when we're protecting others. Morrison ended the transmission and turned to his crew. Ben, give me everything the engines can handle. Lisa, jam their communications. I want them scattered and confused. Amy, keep pushing on that cure. Dan, get your team ready to meet our new friends. The Defiance roared into action, accelerating toward the enemy formation like a streak of vengeance. The Corfac ships fired in desperation, but Morrison piloted with unparalleled skill, weaving through beams of energy with precision honed in the brutal Centauri wars. Target their lead ship, he commanded. All weapons, full power. The Defiance's guns unleashed their fury, bolts of pure energy tearing through the shields of the nearest Corfac vessel. The enemy's defenses collapsed in a flash, and Morrison's follow-up shot obliterated the ship in a fiery explosion. 1 down, he said calmly. 29 to go. The Corfac fleet adjusted, surrounding the Defiance in a deadly pincer. But Morrison was already in motion, diving toward another ship. This time, the aliens anticipated his tactics, unleashing a barrage of fire. The Defiance shuddered violently as explosions rocked her hull. Shields failing! Rodriguez shouted. Hull breach on deck 3! Seal it off! Morrison barked. Dan, your turn! In the airlocks, Hayes and his security team donned combat armor. As the Defiance latched onto another Corfac ship, Hayes activated the emergency docking clamps and began cutting through the enemy hull. "We're going in," he reported. What followed would become the stuff of legend. Hayes and his team stormed the Corfac vessel, overwhelming the alien defenders with precision, ferocity, and tactics the Corfac had never encountered. Accustomed to subjugating docile species, the Corfac soldiers were unprepared for the sheer brutality of human combat. "Bridge secured," Hayes announced. "These guys don't stand a chance," Morrison smirked. "Can you fly that ship?" "Working on it," Hayes replied, his hands already on the alien controls. "They're weird, but I think I've got it." Moments later, the captured Corfac ship turned its weapons on its own fleet, taking the enemy by surprise. 2 more ships erupted in flames before they could react. "What have you done?" Admiral Thavar's voice crackled over the comms. "How did you take one of our ships?" "I told you, Admiral," Morrison replied, his tone cold. "Humans are good at war, and we're not done." With deft maneuvers, Morrison led another group of Corfac ships into the asteroid belt on the system's edge. They followed, certain they had him cornered. But Morrison used the asteroids as shields and weapons, baiting the Corfac ships into fatal collisions. 3 more enemies fell to his strategy. Meanwhile, in the Defiance's lab, Dr. Carter's hands flew over her equipment. "Captain, I think I've cracked it. The plague isn't biological. It's an energy weapon breaking down living tissue. But human cellular structure is different. We can reprogram our nanobots to counteract it." Morrison's eyes scanned the tactical display. They had taken out 7 Corfac ships, but 23 were still in the fight, and more were on their way. "Amy, take a shuttle to the planet. Dan, you're with her. Keep her safe. Ben, give me every ounce of power we've got left." The next 20 minutes were the longest of Morrison's life. The Defiance fought like a cornered predator, striking fast and vanishing before the enemy could react. Morrison deployed every trick learned from 2 decades of combat, hiding behind the moon, using the star's gravity for slingshot maneuvers, and even skimming through the upper atmosphere of a gas giant to shake pursuit. But the enemy was adapting, coordinating their attacks. With every pass, the Defiance took heavier damage. "Captain," Rodriguez called out, "life support's failing on decks 4 and 5. We can't keep this up much longer." Then Amy's voice broke through on the comm from the planets. "Surface, it's working! The cure is working! Everywhere we deploy the nanobots, the plague is retreating. The Valari, they're going to survive!" A wave of relief washed over Morrison, but it was short-lived as another barrage rocked the ship. "That's amazing, Amy! Now get back up here before we all die!" Admiral Thavar's image appeared on the main screen, his gray face contorted in fury. "You've ruined everything! Do you know how long we've waited for these people to die? How long we've planned for this?" "About as long as it took us to stop you," Morrison replied evenly. "You chose the wrong species to murder, Admiral. The Valari are under human protection now. You can't protect them forever. More ships are coming. The entire Corfac fleet will hunt you down." Morrison paused, then smiled. "Admiral, let me tell you something about humans. We're not just good at fighting, we're good at making friends. And we just made 8,000 new ones who are very grateful to be alive. Plus, we've been recording this entire battle." "What?" Thavar's expression twisted with confusion. "I mean every attack, every tactic, every crime. We've been broadcasting it. Every ship, every station, every civilization within 100 light years is watching. They'll see the Corfac Empire for what it is, murderers of the innocent. And they'll know that when someone cries for help, humans answer." Morrison activated the emergency broadcast, transmitting the battle across every frequency. The footage showed Corfac ships bombarding the planet and the Defiance standing in defense. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Defiance. If you're receiving this, know that humanity stands with the innocent. Call us and we will come." The message spread at the speed of light, reaching thousands of worlds and countless species. It was humanity's first declaration to the galaxy. Thavar's face twisted in hatred. "You've made an enemy of the Corfac Empire." "Good," Morrison replied. I'd rather have you as an enemy than see the Valari as corpses." Moments later, the shuttle carrying Amy Carter and Dan Hayes docked with the Defiance as the remaining Corfax ships retreated. Morrison watched them disappear into the void, knowing this was just the beginning. On Nethys, 8,000 Valari breathed freely, alive because one human captain answered a call for help. Across the galaxy, that decision began to ripple, sparking conversations. In spaceports, trade stations, and council halls on 100 worlds. Who were these humans, and what did they want? Shuttle onto the main docking bay of Nethys Station. Ambassador Helen Cruz was a petite woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but her decades in diplomacy gave her an air of quiet authority. Following her was a team of human diplomats, scientists, and aid workers. The station itself was a masterpiece of Valari engineering, orbiting their home world like a guardian. Its crystalline architecture shimmered with the brilliance of the technology that once adorned their cities. Now, it symbolized a new purpose, the first embassy bridging humanity and the galactic community. Elder Zixthra was there to greet them. The ancient Valari leader, now visibly healthier, extended all 6 arms in the traditional gesture of friendship. Her blue skin radiated vitality, and her golden eyes sparkled with hope. "Welcome to Nethys Station, Ambassador Cruz. We are honored by your presence." Cruz returned the greeting with a warm smile, managing a partial version of the Valari custom. "The honor is ours, Elder. It's wonderful to see your people recovering." As they moved through the station's corridors, Cruz observed the collaborative efforts underway. Valari engineers worked side by side with human technicians, exchanging knowledge and advancing technologies. The Valari shared insights into clean energy and medicine, while humans offered their expertise in constructing defensive systems. But beneath the surface, Cruz knew this partnership had drawn unwelcome attention. In her quarters, she reviewed the intelligence reports streaming in. The galaxy's reaction to humanity's emergence was a mix of hope and alarm. Dozens of species had secretly reached out to Earth. The Macali, subjugated by the Corfax for 3 centuries, pleaded for freedom. The Zorvani, whose home world was being ravaged by corporate exploitation, begged for intervention. Even human colonies threatened by pirates sought protection. However, not all responses were encouraging. The Hegemony Council, a powerful political body dominated by the Gual species, viewed humanity as a destabilizing force threatening their millennia-old order. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Cruz opened the door to find Captain Steve Murphy, the commanding officer of the UES Guardian. Young but resolute, Murphy led the newly formed Terran Protection Force tasked with safeguarding this sector. "Ambassador, we've got a situation," he said without preamble. "A distress call just came in from the Macali system. The Corfax are retaliating for Nethys. They're bombing civilian cities." Cruz felt a pang of dread. "How bad?" "Bad," Murphy admitted. "Thousands dead. The Macali are begging for help. But it's just 3 of our ships against their fleet." Cruz studied him carefully. His determination reminded her of Morrison, whose daring actions had already become legendary on Earth. "Captain," Cruz said, her voice steady, "if you go and fail, humanity risks losing its credibility. But if you don't go, we lose something far more important." "What's that, ma'am?" "Our souls." An hour later, the Guardian and 2 other ships jumped into hyperspace, bound for the Macali system. From the observation deck, Cruz watched their departure, uncertain if she would ever see them again. Meanwhile, in a secure chamber deep within the station, Commander Rachel Foster worked tirelessly. Earth's top intelligence officer, Foster, had uncovered something chilling in the data extracted from Corfax systems. The galaxy was not what it seemed. For millennia, a covert alliance of powerful species had orchestrated the rise and fall of civilizations. They allowed some species to flourish just enough to be useful, while suppressing others to remain exploitable. Trillions of lives had been pawns in a vast game of control. The Corvac were merely enforcers, permitted to raid and conquer because their actions sowed chaos. The Hegemony Council would then step in to restore order in exchange for resources and influence. The Volari had been targeted for extinction, not due to threat, but because their advanced technology was too valuable to leave untouched. Foster meticulously compiled her findings, which exposed genocide, slavery, and systemic oppression. But she knew revealing the truth wasn't enough. The galaxy needed to see a different path. That path was forming in the Macaulay system. Captain Murphy's fleet arrived to find 12 Corvac ships bombarding the planet. Despite overwhelming odds, Murphy launched an immediate counterattack. The battle was swift and decisive. Humanity's tactical ingenuity outmatched the Corvac's brute force. 2 human ships sustained damage, but all 12 enemy vessels were destroyed. For the first time in centuries, the Macaulay were free. News of the victory spread like wildfire, igniting hope among oppressed species across the galaxy. Perhaps, they thought, someone might finally stand with them. Earth's newest and most advanced battleship. Though dwarfed by the massive Zarathi Eternal Dominion, Blake's resolve was unshaken. He surveyed the holographic projection of the enemy fleet with a calm intensity. Humanity had known this day, might come and had prepared as best it could. "Status report," Blake called out. "Fleet is in position," said Commander Naomi Chen, his second in command. "All defensive systems are online. Ground-based planetary shields are operational. Civilian evacuation is at 72%. Blake nodded. "And the message?" Chen smiled grimly. "Broadcast. On all frequencies, sir. Every species in the galaxy is watching." Blake turned his attention back to the view of the massive Zarathi fleet. The Resolute and its escorts were outnumbered 10-1, but this wasn't just a battle. It was a message. "Open a channel," Blake ordered. The comms officer activated the link, and the cold, emotionless visage of the Zarathi commander filled the screen. Its eyes, like black voids, seemed to pierce into the very soul of anyone who gazed into them. "Admiral Blake," the Zarathi spoke, its voice like a whisper carried on the wind. "You stand at the edge of annihilation. Humanity's defiance has brought us to this moment. Surrender, and your species may yet survive as a part of the order. Resist, and your worlds will burn." Blake stepped forward, his face resolute. "Commander, let me tell you something about humanity. For centuries we've faced extinction, natural disasters, plagues, wars, our own hubris. But every time we came out stronger. You think you can break us? You're welcome to try. But here's the truth. We don't just fight to survive, we fight to protect." The Zarathi commander tilted its head. "Bravado will not save you, Admiral." Blake's smile was grim but determined. "We're not looking to be saved. We're looking to save everyone else." The channel closed, and the bridge fell silent. Blake turned to his crew. "Prepare for battle." As the Zarathi fleet advanced, the Resolute and its companions surged forward to meet them. But humanity wasn't alone. Ships bearing the banners of the Volari, Macaulay, and even a few rogue Zorvani vessels emerged from hyperspace, joining the human fleet. "Allied forces are on our flank," Chen exclaimed. Blake allowed himself a brief smile. "It seems the galaxy's been waiting for someone to stand up to the bullies." The battle that followed would be remembered as the defense of Sol. It wasn't just a fight for Earth, but for a new galactic order, one where the strong would no longer prey on the weak. As beams of energy lit up the void and ships clashed. In desperate combat, one thing became clear. Humanity's arrival had changed everything. The broadcast showed how the hegemony orchestrated conflicts, suppressed technological advancements, and destroyed species they deemed problematic. The Volari, the Macaulay, and countless others had been victims of a cold and calculated system, designed to maintain the Council's control at the expense of trillions. Finally, the broadcast concluded with a montage of the brave efforts made by humanity and their allies. Captain Morrison's defiance at Nethys, the liberation of the Macaulay, and the galaxy's oppressed species standing together for the first time. In millennia, Admiral Blake turned back to the screen where Supreme Commander Zhalar's visage remained, now frozen in silence. "You've had your time, Commander," Blake said, his voice steely. "It's over. The galaxy deserves better, and humanity is here to help make that happen." Zhalar's voice, colder than ever, cut through the tension. "You have sealed your fate, human. You may win battles, but you cannot win against the inevitable. Order will prevail." Blake leaned forward. "Order? No, Commander. What you call order is tyranny. And if there's one thing history has taught us, it's that tyranny always falls." The transmission ended, the battle of Sol with the fleet. Assembled, the defenders of Earth braced for the onslaught. The hegemony fleet advanced with perfect precision, their massive warships moving like pieces on a chessboard. But humanity and their allies didn't fight by the rules. The battle was chaotic, with ships darting in and out of formations, executing daring maneuvers, and using every advantage they could find. The Valari crystal ships refracted energy blasts. Harmlessly away, the Macaulay ships deployed their advanced cloaking systems, and human vessels unleashed devastating barrages of missiles and railgun fire. Captain Morrison's Defiance led a squadron of civilian ships, striking the hegemony's supply lines. Meanwhile, the Resolute coordinated the Allied fleet, adapting to the rapidly shifting battlefield. Despite their superior numbers, the hegemony fleet struggled against the combined might of the defenders. The oppressed species, fighting for their very survival, displayed a tenacity that took the hegemony by surprise. Humanity's gamble. As the battle raged, Dr. Wong and her team worked feverishly in the depths of the Resolute. Their mission was to deploy a weapon of a different kind, not one of destruction, but of liberation. The data collected by Commander Foster had been encoded into a massive quantum signal. If deployed, it would transmit the evidence of the hegemony's crimes to every known system, bypassing even the most advanced communication jammers. The truth would reach the galaxy, sparking a revolution that no amount of firepower could suppress. "Are we ready?" Blake asked over the comms. "Ready," Dr. Wong replied. "But the hegemony is targeting the transmission array. We need to hold them off long enough to finish the upload." "Understood," Blake said, issuing new orders. "All ships, form a defensive perimeter around the Resolute. This is our moment." The turning point, as the Allied fleet rallied around the Resolute, the hegemony launched their full might at the human flagship. The battle reached its climax with ships on both sides taking heavy losses, but the defenders held firm. Captain Morrison's squadron disabled a hegemony command ship, sowing chaos in their ranks. Valari engineers managed to deploy an emergency shield around the Resolute, buying crucial minutes. Finally, Dr. Wong's voice came over the comms. "The upload is complete." Across the galaxy, the truth spread like wildfire. Worlds under hegemony control began to rise in rebellion. Former allies of the hegemony turned against them, and neutral species declared their support for the growing coalition. The tide of the battle shifted. The hegemony fleet, realizing the futility of their efforts, began a retreat. Cheers erupted across the Allied ships as the defenders of Earth claimed victory. A new dawn as the last hegemony ships jumped to hyperspace. Admiral Blake addressed the fleet. "Today, we proved that the oppressed can stand against their oppressors. But this is just the beginning. The galaxy is watching, and we must show them that unity, justice, and hope can prevail." The Battle of Sol marked the start of a new era. Humanity had not only defended their home, but had ignited a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. Together with their allies, they began building a future where every species had a voice, and no one lived in fear. The fall of the hegemony sent shock waves throughout the galaxy. Once powerful council members were overthrown by their own people. Species long thought subservient or weak found their voices. The liberated galaxy faced a daunting challenge, building a new order out of the ruins of the old. Humanity, along with their allies, played a pivotal role in shaping this new era. The Valari took the lead in energy development, sharing their crystal technology freely with other species. The Macaulay began organizing a coalition dedicated to interstellar justice, ensuring that no species would face what they had endured. Earth became a symbol of hope. Its Terran alliance grew into a coalition of liberated worlds, dedicated to equality and cooperation. Humanity sent engineers, doctors, teachers, and diplomats to every corner of the galaxy, helping to rebuild shattered lives and offering a vision of what could be achieved when people worked together. A message for the ages in the months that followed. A grand assembly was held on Netha Station, the site where it all began. Representatives from every liberated species gathered to draft the Declaration of Galactic Unity. The declaration emphasized the intrinsic value of all sapient life, the importance of mutual respect, and the commitment to a future where no species was left behind. Ambassador Cruz, now a revered figure across the galaxy, gave the opening address. The galaxy has seen the worst of us: greed, oppression, and indifference. But today, we begin to show it the best of us: courage, compassion, and unity. Together, we are stronger than any one of us alone. A new dawn as the assembly concluded. Fleets of ships departed Netha Station, not as conquerors or oppressors, but as ambassadors of a new era. Humanity and their allies faced challenges ahead, from rebuilding destroyed worlds to uniting diverse cultures, but they faced them together. The stars no longer belong to the strong alone. They belong to everyone. And for the first time in millennia, the galaxy dared to dream of peace. Humanity had not just survived its first contact with the galactic community, it had thrived. It had shown a galaxy in despair that there was another way. And as Admiral Blake gazed out at the vast expanse of space from his flagship, he whispered the words that had carried humanity this far. This marks the dawn of a new era. The Terran Protective Alliance was not just an organization, but a beacon, a promise etched into the very fabric of the galaxy, a declaration that the days of indifference and exploitation were over. As the assembly hall erupted in applause, Ambassador Cruz felt a deep sense of pride. What began as a desperate attempt to survive in an indifferent galaxy had blossomed into a movement that united the forgotten and the oppressed under a shared vision of compassion and strength. Fleet Admiral Morrison, now a symbol of resilience and hope, turned to Cruz after his speech. "Think they'll call?" he asked, his voice carrying both humor and sincerity. Cruz smiled. "They already have. The question is, can we keep up?" Ships across the galaxy carried the message. "You are not alone." These words became a rallying cry, a promise that transcended borders and species, reaching every corner of the stars. The beginning of unity on worlds once crushed under tyranny, lights of hope began to flicker. On Netha Station, the crystal corridors hummed with renewed energy, a testament to the spirit of collaboration that had emerged. And in the depths of space, where silence had reigned, voices rose in unison. The Terran Protective Alliance wasn't just humanity's victory, it was a shared triumph, a reminder that even in the vast coldness of space, the warmth of solidarity could ignite the brightest stars.